Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to really dig into valuable knowledge from important sources, giving you the essence of what truly matters.
And today, well, we've got this fascinating co-authored article. It puts a spotlight on something often missed in, the usual leadership talk.
Right, and the co-author is key here. We're talking about insights developed with Justin C. McNight. He's a leadership coach, but his perspective isn't just theory, is it?
Not at all. It's forged from, well, some significant personal trials. That lived experience really heavily influenced the core message of the piece we're discussing.
And that message is honestly quite profound. It argues that real leadership, the effective kind,
Yeah.
it actually starts inside with inner presence, with resilience,
Mhm.
which leads to a really relatable question for probably everyone listening. Have you ever wondered how you keep leading, keep showing up when your own world feels like it's, falling apart?
Yeah, and the article really anchors this whole idea in a specific transformative moment in Justin McKnight's own life. Imagine this: losing your job and filing for divorce on the same day.
Wow, that's, yeah, hard to imagine something more destabilizing.
Exactly. It forces you to question everything, right?
Yeah.
And particularly, how can you possibly lead others when you're struggling just to stand?
It sounds like one of those moments that just strips away everything external, forces you right down to the core.
It does. And the article explains how that experience made him see what he believes is the absolute bedrock of leadership, something maybe we just assume is there.
So challenging that conventional wisdom a bit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So much leadership advice focuses on, strategy, vision, charisma, the outward stuff.
Right.
But McKnight's situation forced him to look inward. And what he found there was the surprising power of, well, seemingly basic habits.
Basic habits, you mean like the simple daily routines?
Precisely. The article actually lists them.
Yeah.
Getting up, making the bed, drinking water, hitting the gym, just walking, reading, journaling.
Okay, yeah, those sound like survival tactics almost.
Well, yes, but the article argues it was much more than just coping. It was actually the beginning of a huge leadership revelation for him.
Ah, okay. So how did that connect?
He realized, fundamentally, that his ability to lead anyone else depended first on his ability to show up for himself, especially then, in that chaos.
Makes sense.
By just trying to show up peacefully with some kind of optimistic mindset, even just for himself, he realized he could also be a kind of reassuring example for his kids.
That's a really critical point the article makes, isn't it? Leadership isn't always the big speech. Sometimes it's just consistently showing up for yourself first.
Exactly, and the article builds on that. McKnight developed this view that leadership is really about your presence, not your job title.
Presence over position. I like that.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is how he applies this everywhere. The article mentions him trying to lead by example, whether he was a corporate VP or just, putting a shopping cart back properly in the parking lot.
Huh. Okay, I see. It's about that sense of responsibility in every little thing.
It really reframes leadership, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Less about the fancy office, more about the character you bring, moment to moment.
And the article also suggests that going through those personal crises actually gave him something valuable for leadership, more empathy.
Yes, a lot more.
Yeah.
Surviving that, learning from it, it gave him this deeper understanding of, well, human struggle,
You can imagine.
which naturally led him to think, okay, what are other people carrying? Maybe burdens much heavier than mine, The article really stresses that realization. You just never know what someone else is dealing with.
That must have really shifted how he approached leading people.
Absolutely. The article mentions times he had to lead his team, do his job, while privately he was dealing with all this intense emotional stuff leading up to the divorce, stuff his team knew nothing about.
Wow, yeah.
So that became a constant internal reminder for him. Assume people are carrying something. Extend grace. Be understanding.
That's powerful. And the article contrasts that with what happens when leaders try to put on that brave face, that mask of invulnerability, while ignoring their own needs.
Right. McKnight argues, based on his experience and what he's seen coaching, that this whole invincible leader act, it's costly.
How so? What are the risks?
Well, the article lists several things. It can lead to burnout, obviously,
Yeah.
but also inauthenticity. People sense when you're not being real.
Yeah, you can usually tell.
And it can make leaders avoid tough conversations or decisions because they haven't got the inner reserves. And that avoidance, that lack of energy, it ripples outwards, doesn't it?
Affecting the whole team.
Definitely. The article draws a direct line from a leader neglecting their own resilience to lower team morale, decreased performance, even problems keeping good people. It's like The team can only go as far as the leader's own depleted well-being allows.
That's a sobering thought.
Yeah.
But the article also offers the flip side, right? A positive example.
It does. It shares this really nice anecdote about a former boss of McKnight's, someone who really modeled this kind of resilient leadership.
What did they do differently?
This person managed to combine, high expectations and high performance with genuine human connection. They showed up with energy, discipline, but also, crucially, with their humanity intact.
So results and relationship.
Exactly. The article points to things like using humor, really engaging with people personally. It suggests that combination is what creates that positive momentum, that healthy leadership dynamic.
It really highlights that balance. And then the article connects McKnight's personal journey directly to how he coaches others now, focusing on resilience through vulnerability.
Yes. And a key insight here is how the article challenges that old idea that leaders must always seem strong, always have it together.
That pressure to project perfection.
Right. McNight suggests that's often unsustainable and, frankly, not very relatable. Instead, the article proposes that acknowledging your struggles, thoughtfully, can actually build stronger connections and earn more respect.
But it's careful to draw a line, isn't it? It's not about constantly complaining or being a victim.
No, absolutely not. It's about acknowledging the reality of challenges while still staying focused on a bigger mission, on serving others, finding that balance between doing your own inner work and contributing outwardly.
Okay. So for listeners thinking, how do I build my resilience? Does the article offer practical advice?
It does. McNight uses a kind of self-assessment exercise, which the article outlines. It gets you to look at different areas.
Like what?
Things like your emotional strength, your physical health, mental clarity, your discipline and boundaries, and critically, your support system. Who's got your back?
Right. And the point is to...
To honestly see where you're strong, maybe where you're feeling a bit drained or depleted. And then the article suggests you can consciously decide to shore up those weaker areas, maybe amplify the strengths. Even just noticing, becoming aware is a big first step.
That makes sense. Being intentional about it.
The article also brings up the hustle culture issue.
Yeah, that pressure to always be on, always working.
Exactly. McNight observed leaders sacrificing their well-being on that altar, and the article argues it's just counterproductive in the long run. Burnout, less effectiveness. It emphasizes needing balance, self-care, continuous learning, not just constant grinding.
So through all this, McNight came to some core realizations about resilience itself.
Two really key ones highlighted in the article. First, that building your resilience is completely 100% your own responsibility, personal ownership.
Okay, no one can do it for you.
Nope. And the second insight, which is actually really empowering, was realizing that everything you need to build it is already inside you.
So it's not about needing some fancy program or external fix necessarily.
Not primarily. The article really emphasizes the power of internal work, cultivating that growth mindset, and using those simple, accessible practices we talked about earlier, walking, reading, mindful breathing, journaling, things anyone can do.
It sort of demystifies resilience, makes it feel achievable. The article stresses how we often overlook these simple things, searching for something complex.
Right. And when you build that internal strength, that becomes your foundation. Unshakable.
And from that foundation, you can show up better for others. The article gives that really concrete example of McNight leading his team during that incredibly difficult period before his divorce, right?
Yeah, that part really makes it real. The sheer difficulty of holding it together professionally while dealing with that kind of private turmoil.
Must have been immense.
Totally. And the article uses that to show resilience isn't about being perfect or never struggling. It's about showing up anyway, with whatever energy you can find. Recognizing that even that effort, when you're running on fumes, has value.
It really brings it full circle back to the co-author, Justin C. McKnight. His journey, his expertise, it's clearly woven throughout this article.
Absolutely. The article mentions his ongoing work helping businesses and individuals build these kinds of enduring, inspiring teams precisely through focusing on resilience, reinvention, and that crucial emotional intelligence piece.
So ultimately, this deep dive into the article underscores a really vital truth, I think.
Which is?
That authentic, effective leadership really is built on that personal foundation, resilience. Showing up honestly, especially when things get tough.
Couldn't agree more. And, like the article shows, putting effort into that foundational self-care, that inner work, it's not selfish. It actually boosts your leadership impact significantly.
So maybe a good takeaway for everyone listening is to think about McKnight's self-assessment areas in their own lives.
Yeah, where do you feel solid?
Mhm.
And maybe where could one small, consistent action make a real difference to your own resilience?
And maybe the final thought to leave you with today is this. What if prioritizing your own resilience didn't just help you handle challenges better? What if it fundamentally changed how you lead, how you connect, how you show up for everyone around you?